all seen these people somewhere. The child who gets the new iPhone every birthday while you're still using a flip phone. The child kicking and screaming outside the mall. But I want it, as his parents drag him away calmly, explaining the difference between want and need. The parent who can silence your child with just a look. It's frightening. Even you're afraid of her. The child who just hangs out at the mall all day, alone. No parents in sight. Now, what do all these people have in common? Nothing, you may think, or maybe they all take place at the mall. Well, actually, they all have to do with parenting. Consider this. Why does a newborn human baby need a full year before it starts walking, while a newborn horse gets up right after birth? Scientists have assumed that the human motor development is unique and that our brain is so complex that it makes it particularly difficult to walk on two legs. However, a scientist group at one university has shown that humans start walking in the same brain stage development as many other walking animals, from small rodents to elephants. Great. Our brains function at the same rate as a rat's. However, the fact still remains that our brains are still more fragile. Case in point, you or any other adolescents. I mean, we still live with our parents, right? Do teenage rats still live with their parents? I don't think so. However, Kate Wong of Scientific America has shown that human babies are extremely underdeveloped and would need 18 to 21 months in the mother's womb instead of the usual 9 to have the same cognitive development as a baby chimpanzee. So maybe it's not our fault we still live with our parents. The fact is, and the law states, that we are not adults until the age of 18. And until then, we need an adult to guide us and provide us with basic needs. In other words, we need a parent to parent us. But what type of parenting does an adolescent need? Kimberly Kopko of Cornell University explains the 4 different parenting styles as authoritative, authoritarian, uninvolved. So let's take permissive parents out of one of my favorite books, Harry Potter. And in this book, Harry's cousin Dudley is the child of permissive parents. He gets whatever he wants, every day. From computers to gaming systems, no matter if he behaves or not. And like most parents, his permissive parents are afraid to say no to him. So instead, they spoil him with choice. But sometimes we need to be told no. Life is about being told no and how to get to the yes. On the other hand, uninvolved parents don't really care about what their child do and have given up on parenting. It might not be obvious, but these two parenting styles, permissive and uninvolved, are vaguely similar. Look at it this way. When a child of a permissive parent grows up, they believe they can do whatever they want. Because they believe everyone's like their parents, giving way, providing what they need, loving them. When the child of an uninvolved parent grows up, they also believe they can do whatever they want. But not because they believe everyone loves them, but because they believe everyone is like their own parents, ignoring them and just giving up on them, and not caring about what they do whatsoever. And because of these two parenting styles, permissive and uninvolved, who knows what the children of this world will be when they grow up. An example of uninvolved parenting is shown in the memoir, The Glass Castle, by Jeanette Walls. And an example of this is shown when Walls is cooking hot dogs. But not in the way you think. She was cooking hot dogs at the age of 3 years old. 3 years old, with fire, unsupervised whatsoever, while her mother was in a different room painting, instead of watching her child play with something very deadly that may have killed her. Now, if you've read the book, you already know that it doesn't end too well. Walls sets herself on the fire and is rushed to the hospital. She lived, but not without many burns and scars that would cover her for life. Another anecdote featured from this book may change your perspective with these parents. Are they actually uninvolved? This father, teaches Walls how to swim in a way most parents don't really consider. He, knowing that she may drown, literally throws her into a lake. At first, she's hopeless. She claws the water, sinks below the surface, cries for help. Eventually, she makes it back to her father, who just throws her back in. Again, she claws the water, sinks below the surface, cries for help. And if you see the pattern here, when she makes it back to her father, he just throws her back in. But this time, she doesn't do any of those things. She decides to push away, and now she has learned to swim. Her father happily congratulates her. And now, I ask you, what type of parenting is this? It's not exactly uninvolved. Some call it free-range parenting, after an incident that happened in Maryland a year ago, when two children, ages 6 and 10, were found wandering alone in a park. Concerned parents called the police, and the two children were held custody, while their parents were interviewed by the Child Protective Services. It turns out the parents had actually found a safe route for the children to take, and didn't see the harm in them playing alone. In fact, they were angry when the Child Protective Services were called. They just wanted to let their child be independent by giving them some independence. I wonder if any parents in this room would allow their 6-year-old to walk to Lacey Park alone. The third type of parenting is called authoritarian. And these parents are very hard on their children. They guide them like how a seeing eye dog guides the blind. Sometimes a habit develops for these children to ask their parents before doing anything. Questions like, hey dad, can I go watch TV? Turn into questions like, hey dad, can I go to my room now? Which is not exactly a question most children would ask their parents and would just go do it themselves. Sometimes this habit sticks to the children even as they grow up. It turns out with the children following their parents and asking for help, guidance, or long phone calls with their parents asking questions like, what should I cook for dinner? What shoes should I buy? And this is a worse part of the parenting, authoritarian parenting, but this is not the worst, like the really, really bad side effect. The worst side effect is that the children rebel against their parents. Andre Agassi, former tennis player champion, and having the title of 8 Grand Slams, he had an authoritarian father. His father would tell him every day, hit harder, hit earlier, again and again, yelling at him, until Agassi hated the sport. Hated it with all his heart. He was tired of hitting thousands of tennis balls each day, tired of being told he was no good, tired of being yelled at. But he never rebelled against his father, because he feared him too much. Amy Chua wrote a book called Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother, in which she explained raising her children as a proud authoritarian parent, or what she calls the Chinese way. In other words, she writes about how she frequently treats her daughters harshly. She notes how most Chinese parents just tell it how it is. For example, the child is fat. The parent won't hesitate to say, hey fatty, lose some weight. She notes how most parents won't say this in fear of harming their child's self-esteem. But she says that the real harm in self-esteem comes from the child's obesity. So isn't it better to deal with problems openly and honestly? Chua never lets her children do anything fun. She doesn't let them have sleepovers or let them play video games or watch TV. She doesn't let them do any fun activities unless they can earn a gold medal. And if they can earn a gold medal, then they better get it. Chua is extremely competitive, pushing her children to the limit through the whole book, until finally one of her children breaks and rebels. And Chua has to rethink her authoritarian ways. But in the end, she maintains what she has taught, and says that everything she did was to make her daughters the best they could be. Kopko doesn't mention helicopter parents, but I see them as a hybrid parent of authoritarian and permissive. First of all, helicopter parents are overprotective. In elementary school, they're the parents who circle around their children, quote unquote, like a helicopter parent. Helicopter, ensuring that they don't get hurt, watching every move that they make. When the child goes camping or on a field trip, the parent has to be a chaperone. When the child asks to go to a friend's birthday party alone, the parent won't let them, or they will go there with them. In middle school, the parents just won't let their child be independent and believe that their child is perfect, even if they're not, and will do anything to help them succeed. For example, if the child forgets his homework, he will text his helicopter mom, and she will immediately drive us to the front of the school. At lunch, the helicopter parent brings a hot lunch to the front of school every single day. Or worse, the helicopter parent knows the child's locker combination and literally puts their lunch in there for them. Nobody needs a helicopter parent. It might seem to work in the moment. Great, I turned in my homework in time. But in the long run, it teaches us no responsibility. Professor Henry Petrosky of Duke University wrote a book called Success Through Failure. And just reading the title tells you what helicopter parents don't seem to understand. Adolescents make mistakes all the time. It's like our job to make mistakes. So let us. The only way we ever learn is from failure. Now, if this is all starting to sound grim, relax. There's still one more type of parenting style, and this is called authoritative. It might sound like authoritarian, but it's the total opposite. Authoritative parents are described as warm but firm. They are willing to negotiate the rules and change their minds. The parents, if the child wants to stay up till 10 at night, the parent will gladly let them stay up, with a reasonable explanation, of course. And through this, the children learn an important life skill from their parents. Though not everything is set in stone, black and white, and that reasoning is an important skill. From an adolescent's point of view, and from my point of view, this is probably the best type of parenting style, because these parents will never answer the question why with "because I told you so." From a parent's point of view, this may not come as easy. Maybe you think you're giving too much responsibility. Maybe you think you're giving too much authority. But this is not the case. Let your child be independent from time to time. And know that we need your guidance, even if we say we don't. We all learn by doing. This is especially true in adolescence. So think of the Nike motto, just do it. Now, let us do it.